Yo, welcome in. Here's 10 tips for the season 1 start of Diablo 4. Now, these range obviously from like beginner to like very beginner. Obviously, if you're some god tier player that had all 5 characters maxed out at level 100, you don't really need season tips, do you? But hopefully, this will help out some of the new people or people that just played a little bit at the beginning of the game and returning for season 1. Now, first up, you come into the game, you're going to go ahead and create a character, get that all selected up and everything. Once you get through to where you're actually selecting what world tier you should play on, what I recommend is actually going with world tier 2 now. If you're anybody who played the game before season 1, you should have several skill points to start right off. You'll have more stats from finding all your altars of Lilith. Those all transfer over, even from finding them on the Eternal Realm, over to your new character. So you're going to be more powerful. And you do get 20% more experience. It shouldn't be too much of a struggle to handle with all those said bonuses. Not to mention in the new patch, they actually bumped up the drop odds for monsters when you go into world tier 2. You see it right there. And if you drop more items, that means you have more stuff to sell. So you're going to have even more gold, which means you can upgrade your gear faster, meaning you're going to deal even more damage faster. And on top of that, you have more to salvage, which also means you can upgrade your gear faster and deal more damage and have more survivability. So I feel like as long as you tried the game before season 1 started, starting off on world tier 2 is what most people are going to want to be in. Don't forget, you can always turn it down if you do have any struggle at all. Alrighty, so you're out running through the game and you never really know, like, what should I be picking up? I'm taking out these monsters and, you know, some gears dropping and stuff. What do I actually really want to take? Well, you're actually going to want to grab everything. Now, bad example because none of these monsters are dropping any items. But if you go over here, even just all these berries and stuff at the start, you want to grab literally every single item that you can. You got to remember, at the season start, you're not going to have anything. You don't have gold. You don't have any resources. You don't have any of the leathers. You don't have any iron. You don't have anything. You don't have any elixirs or anything. You want to make potions. So you're going to need these different things to use. And if you don't have them, you're just going to be dead in the water. So as you're going through every single pile of gold, every single boot like this, maybe you're thinking you don't want to pick up white stuff, you don't want to pick up blue stuff. For at least the first 20 levels, you're going to want to pick up every single thing, regardless of if it's actually going to be an upgrade or not, and go ahead and sell it and salvage it to get them gold and the materials. And please, I do stress this as well, because I know I'm going to forget it. Even the little pieces of iron over on the side and the little berries, make sure you grab all that stuff too from day one. We haven't done this stuff since the game initially launched, because you end up having so much of it as time goes on. But right at the start, make sure you're clicking on all the different berries and all the different little things, picking up all the items and selling and salvaging literally everything for the first bit. So next up is one that somehow I am just so dumb and I always forget. There's different level like breakpoints where you can upgrade your potions so they'll heal you more. I always forget. My chat always tells me, hey, make sure you go get your potions, bruh. So right here, level 10, level 20, level 30, then it jumps to 45, so 15 levels, 60, 70, 80. And this kind of ties back into the last one I said. If you weren't picking up all those berries along the way, you're going to come across some, ooh, man, I can't find any of these crushed beast bones. Oh, man, I don't have any of these demon hearts, or I don't have any of this howler moss, I suppose, is more of one that you pick up. But make sure you're picking up all those things and come over to the person to upgrade potions, and do not forget to do that at the particular breakpoints. And one quick way to tell, right next to me, right here, this will have a little up arrow right next to it when it's time for you to upgrade. So if you ever see that arrow right on the side of your potion coming off over here, that's when you got to upgrade those potions. Alrighty, now here's a little twofer. If you didn't know, if you just right click with your mouse, you can pin anywhere on the map. Let's say I want to get to this dungeon. Boom, right click it, and you see there's a red line showing me exactly the path in order to get there. And also it's on the mini map in the upper right hand corner. But there's also the Codex of Power. Let's say there's some of these, you're not going to have any of these right off the bat, but we'll just say taking direct damage has a 2% chance to reset the cooldown of one of your defensive skills. Sure, why not? Actually, if you didn't notice this on the Codex of Power, you just left click on it and boom, it's pinned on your map. It'll take you directly exactly to that dungeon if this is an aspect that you absolutely want and need for your character. So let's go ahead and fire up the map. And you see now the pin is going all the way. Where's this dungeon at? Way over here. So there it pinned the exact dungeon for that exact aspect that I exactly need for my exact character. That is a very handy one, and it's going to be super handy right at the beginning of the season. Rogue's going to want to get that Blade Dancer aspect, right? Now, once you get into a point of the game where you're actually having gear that you're going to want to hang on to for a while, maybe you're finding just some rare pants that are pretty darn good, or you could be finding maybe some sacred stuff like this staff. Go ahead and upgrade it. And I would recommend when you upgrade this stuff, the stuff that you think you're going to use and not finding a better piece of gear real quick, come over to the armor. It only takes right here, it's 14 iron chunks, which is almost nothing. That's like salvaging a few different pieces in order to get that. And 3,000 gold is right behind me here. That's almost nothing. That's like almost free. You might as well upgrade it once. Now it takes some silver and some iron, which you can usually get some of this stuff if you're actually clicking, if you follow the tip before clicking on a lot of those iron things and salvaging stuff, and 6,000 gold. 6,000 gold really isn't that much either. So you don't sleep on if you're having any type of struggle at all, do a couple of upgrades on your gear that you know is actually good. And not to mention when you upgrade your gear, like look at this right here, damage to close enemies 42.9, and you actually get plus 3%. So if you upgrade it, you're even going to be getting more damage, more survivability on the affixes that are on the item. So don't sleep on at least doing the first couple of upgrades on items anytime you have a little bit of a struggle, or even upgrade it before you start struggling. Now, at the beginning of the game, do you want to salvage everything or do you want to sell everything? Well, I would recommend at the very, very, very beginning of the game, I would go ahead and salvage more stuff than you actually are selling. No matter what, at the beginning of the game, the stuff really doesn't get you a ton of gold, but when you salvage it, you get a lot of the same resources. So I would say up until, and this is just a very rough estimate, you probably want to do like an 80-20 split, salvage 80%, sell 20% up to probably like level 25, maybe even 30 or 35. And at some point, if you ever have a problem where your gold is fine, but then you don't have the resources, you want to salvage more. But at that point, 35, you probably want to do a 50-50 split, sell and salvage. And then later game, once I usually got up to the 60s, 70s, 80s, somewhere in there, I flipped that almost the other way where I was selling like 80% and then only salvaging like 20% at that point, because you end up with a ton of the resources and you just want more gold for re-rolling stuff. And a very, very crucial one, get the codexes of power that you absolutely need for your particular build. Well, since I'm actually a druid, here's one that you definitely want to have if you're going to be rocking that Grizzly Rage, right? So the Grizzly Rage duration is increased by 1. Critical strikes with Grizzly Rage is active, increases your critical strike damage by 10% with the X for the duration. So one you're absolutely going to want to get. And if you're rocking Grizzly Rage on your build, you want to get this as soon as possible. So go ahead and pin it up. Now I already have this one, but let's say it's the one down here. If you don't, click on it, pin it, and go out and farm those. Do not wait, oh, I'll just get it later. I'll find it later. Some of them are so important. You want to go get them. So track it down and go get those aspects that you absolutely need to set your build off. Now, if you're running dungeons a little bit later, even World Tier 3 or 4, what dungeon tier do you actually want to run? Well, it used to be you want the monster 3 levels higher than you, but I feel like this advice has actually changed. What I would recommend now is you essentially want the monsters to be pretty much exactly your level, because you only get a 1.5% bonus boost to experience per level higher than you they are. I mean, that's like nothing. 1%, who really cares about that? Now, the higher you go, they're going to be higher level than you. Then you kind of get a defensive bonus. So you're going to be surviving less, which means you're going to be killing slower. So unless you're literally killing monsters at the exact same speed, if you're killing monsters or clearing the dungeon 3, 4, 5% slower, it's not going to be worth it to do dungeons with monsters that are any levels higher than you. It was such a huge nerf to experience. I don't know why they did this, but now personally for most people and just for general enjoyment, I would recommend just doing dungeons that are the exact same monster level inside of them as you. Now, if you're on World Tier 3 and 4, it is slightly different. It's actually a 1 level swap. So what you want to do is take your level and minus 53 if you're in World Tier 3, and that will be the monster level of the monsters in there. Let's go ahead and test it out. Let's go ahead and look at this dungeon right here. It's a tier 6. So instead of subtracting from my level, I'm going to be adding to the tiers level, and that'll tell me what level the monsters will be in there. So tier 6. So we're going to add 53 to that. So that's going to be 59. So this tier 6 would be for a person that's 59. It works in the minus and plus. It works exactly the same either way. Let's go ahead and take a look. And here we are, and we look, boom, the monsters are 59. Now this is for World Tier 3 is the 53 number. That way it works perfect if you're level 59 person. Now that works perfect for World Tier 3. Let's jump to World Tier 4. Alrighty, now World Tier 4, we're level 75, so subtract 54 and it'd be what, 21? Do we have any 21 dungeons around here? Let's see, here's one right here. So these monsters should be exactly my character's level, right where we want it. And there we go, as you see, up at the top there, these monsters are level 75, just as me. So for World Tier 3, you subtract 53 from your level, or add 53 to the tier of the Nightmare Dungeon. And for World Tier 4, you either subtract 54 from your character level to get the exact number that the monsters will be the exact same level as you, or add 54 to the Nightmare Dungeon level. And with this, I will say, if I didn't mention it already, I would err on the side of the monsters being 1 or possibly 2 levels higher than you, because you obviously aren't going to be having dungeons that are all the exact same level, rather than the ones that are actually lower. But I wouldn't go too high. You're not going to be wanting to try to clear dungeons that are like 20 levels over you and stuff like that. It does not work out anymore. All right, I hope those tips helped you out. Hopefully you guys enjoy Season 1. Peace out. Hit the like button and subscribe before you go also. But also, keep slaying.